Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Force here, and today we'll be checking out Folktale. This is a sandbox fantasy city building strategy game. It's currently in the early alpha. It's actually available through the Steam Early Access program, and as of this moment the only thing in the game that is available is the tutorial. However, I wanted to take some time to walk you through the tutorial and give you a basic introduction to this game. I think it's got some really neat concepts and the premise behind it is excellent. Now, not all of those features are currently available. Again, we just have the tutorial here in the alpha, but again, I wanted to just show you that. And since I've already been through the tutorial, I'll be clicking out of most of the tutorial dialogue, but I'll still be showing you step by step the process. So first thing it's telling me to do is to go to this waypoint, at which point he's going to tell me that we need to build a windmill. So we're going to go ahead, and you can see these land plots here, and these are pre-designated areas which you can place down various buildings. So we're going to be going through this step by step here. First thing will be the windmill, and this mills wheat grain from wheat fields into flour. So we're going to start constructing that. And then the next thing that's going to happen is we're going to construct one of those farmer's fields. So as soon as the windmill is done, we can then train a farmer, and then the farmer will automatically begin sowing the fields and turning that into wheat that can be used to make bread in town. Now, a lot of the processes are done automatically. Some of them you need to manually do. For example, I need to manually click on a peasant, tell him to go to the windmill, and then he will go ahead and turn himself into a farmer, at which point he will automatically start farming from a nearby farmer's field. So we've got these various peasants, and essentially what happens here is they will periodically, we'll get new peasants coming into town from the boat over here, right next to the storehouse in the harbor. And the way you can get more peasants to come basically is by constructing more houses, which we'll be looking at in just a little bit. Okay, so now that we have constructed the windmill and we've got a farmer tending to the field, the next thing that we're going to want to do is construct a woodcutter's hut so that we can get some wood. So I'm going to send some peasants over there, just preeminently knowing what I'm going to have to do in just a moment. I'm also going to send some peasants right over here for the same reason. Okay, so we're going to build a woodcutter's hut. Now we need to build it as close to the resource node as possible, and the resource node for the woodcutter's hut would be the tree, or I guess this should probably be plural for trees. So what we'll do then is pick this plot, and we're going to use that to build a woodcutter's hut. 3 nearby peasants will go over and start their construction. So once that is finished, the same process that we did over here with the windmill, we're going to take a peasant, put him into the woodcutter's hut. He will turn into a guy who cuts trees, a lumberjack if you will, and then he will automatically start gathering that resource. So as soon as this is finished, which will be in just one moment, there we go, we will go ahead and train him, just like that, and now we have got ourselves a wonderful woodcutter. So what we need to do though, before we can actually get this resource, is claim it. So there will be unclaimed resources in this game, and just simply bringing workers or peasants nearby will claim that territory, and then turn it into your own. And then at that point, the woodcutter can start gathering wood, making planks, and all the resources you can see up top there. We've got our gold, our wood, and then there's stone, iron, and wheat, I believe is how that all works out. I'm not entirely sure what these things are, because it is not explained at any point in the tutorial. I played through it completely last night. It took me about an hour and a half. I'm not going to take you through all of that, but I'm going to take you through a sizable chunk, again, just to give you a good idea. So the next thing we're going to be doing is building an iron smelter, and we were wanting to build that right next to the iron mine. So I've got my peasants by the ready here, and then we're going to go and click iron smelter, and they will start constructing that. Same process. Finishes, I bring an NPC in, I get a smelter of iron, I claim this resource node, and everything is on the up and up. However, this one's a little bit different because at this point we'll also be introduced to some of the game's combat. So this game's it's about more than just city building and managing a town. It's also got RPG elements as well, which is rather neat, and something I just like. I like the combination of things that this game is doing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and build an iron smelter, and only the male characters can turn into these specialized workers, strangely enough. But before we can get over here, we got to get rid of these kobolds. So we're going to bring our people over here, and basically as soon as they come near an enemy, they will automatically engage with them. So whether it's actual militiamen or just regular peasants, they are automatically going to engage with any enemies that are nearby. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be doing is a stone quarry, but before I do that, well actually I'll start building that, and then I can show you that in a moment. So we got some workers right over here, and then the stone quarry is going to be the next one. Stonecutter's Lodge, to be exact. And that is being built right here because we've got the stone quarry right here. So I want to build a Stonecutter's Lodge right next to it. Peasants start working on that automatically. Okay, so loot. Again, there's light RPG elements in here. When you kill enemies or when you find chests, you can loot them. And I've got some stone, some gold, and a helmet. Now you'll notice that it doesn't tell how many of those that I got. I wonder if that's just because this is very early alpha. Once again, there's actually going to be a sandbox mode in this game, but at the moment, the only thing available is the tutorial. I'm really excited for when they add the sandbox mode, and I'll definitely be giving the game another look for you guys once that eventually happens. Alright, so Stonecutter's Lodge is done. We will train a peasant to become a stonecutter.
Something to be done?
There, he's a stonecutter. So we're going to claim the nearby stone quarry. Just like that. And then the stonecutter, just like all of the other specialized workers, will automatically start getting to work and gathering stone for us. Now, we've got an event. Who are these guys? What are they doing? They're up to no good, I can tell you that much.
Oh, is that it, bruv? What did the big man say? Big man? He says he's been talking to them Weirfu monks who is like all the way up on the mountain, innit? Innit though, they is proper in the clouds. And they see all these like filthy human beings getting comfy on our turf. All building villages and thing, you get me, bruv? I hear you, man. So the big man reckons they is all our property and he'll get some wicked coin for them, innit? What's the plan? We go down there and they're all like, oh no, please don't make us into slaves. And we like take them back up to the big man. They got any protection, bruv? Nah, man, that's the best thing. They got nothing. Let's do this. I hear you, man. Let's do it.
So those are the evil goblins.
Listen up. He was all the property of the slave master Urzal. We're taking some of you to be his slaves. The rest of you better shut it, or we will take all of you. This is our village now. You get me, yeah?
A little mix between Jamaican and Arnold Schwarzenegger accent there. I don't know what that was.
Well, I guess we ain't alone on this island no more.
So what are we gonna do, lads?
Well, we can't just leave them to the goblins, can we, dear boy? We should go and rescue them.
Yes, that's a good plan. We should go and rescue them. Okay, so now we've been attacked. What do we need to do? Well, first of all, we've got these cottages that are on fire, so we should probably take care of that. Another automated process. Peasants will go to a nearby well. They will fill up a bucket of water, and then they will run to any of these burning buildings and douse the fire out, at which point peasants will return to the building to reconstruct it, essentially, is what will happen. And something that I haven't shown you yet that I think is a really neat part of this game, I guess we'll do this while we start building our barracks here, so that we can build some militiamen. Start our barracks right there. Something that's really cool about this game, you know, I've got this over-the-head perspective, but there's multiple other perspectives. There's also the perspective of first person. I can drop down into the first-person view, and I can walk into buildings in the town. I think this is really, really neat. I think that, especially for people who are really into the story elements and, you know, trying to become involved with, I guess, the role-playing aspect of the people in the town and their personal story and stuff like that. This game is supposed to be very dynamic, very randomized in terms of the story that it tells. Obviously, here in the tutorial, this is very set. There's cutscenes and everything like that. But once the fully fleshed out sandbox mode is available in this game, there's a dynamic story that changes depending on your decisions and the things that you do within the world. And this first-person view, allowing you to walk through town in the first-person perspective, is pretty neat. And it's not just through town. Once we leave town, you're able to do this in the outside areas too. Basically, once you get to enemy areas, you're able to walk around in the first person. Now, as of now, I don't know if this is going to change, but there's no additional functionality that comes from the first person perspective. It's simply a viewpoint, but it's neat nonetheless, I think. And we actually have gotten some new peasants. We can click on the icon up here to see they arrived off of the boat here, right at the dock. We got ourselves a couple of male workers and a female worker. So now that we have a barracks in place, we are going to want to train some militiamen. So we're gonna get. It's only the males that get transferred that can become militiamen. I wish they let the females do it too, but.
Of adventurers to rescue the villagers, we should give our militia some combat.
And I'm gonna need another one, so I need to find another male peasant here.
Let's see if there's anything interesting to be found.
And I'm not sure if we have any more male peasants, actually, to be honest with you. Is there one in here, or are those both female? I gotta go check inside, actually, because I don't know. We're gonna go ahead and go back over here. And looks like these are both female peasants. So we need to find one more male peasant. The reason I'm doing this is because from a single barracks you can have up to five militiamen. Notice that there's the 4 faces on this green bar right here. These 4 faces, and there's a little diamond spot for an additional one. So for example, the farmers is the same thing. I could have 4 more of these. So I want a total of 5 militiamen, but I only have 4, so I need to find myself one more male peasant. And it looks like I've got one right here, Alvin de Grey. So we're gonna tell him to go over here. So yeah, each one of these peasants, they've all got their own name as well. So we've got Bernard here, Wesley, Thomas, Edmund, and then this last guy over here, which is Alvin. I guess his name changed once he became a militiaman. Okay, so I can bind these guys by doing Shift 1. I can bind them. And if I double click on that, I'm actually brought into the 3rd camera, which is an over-the-shoulder sort of camera perspective. And you're going to notice it's sort of going to follow them around a little bit. So you can do that either by clicking on this little camera icon down here when you're selecting individuals, or you can do that just by double-clicking a hotkeyed group. So there's three different camera perspectives. This over-the-shoulder camera, this RTS view sort of camera, and then that first-person camera. Now these militiamen are going to engage now with the kobolds just on the end of town, so I'm going to tell them to go over there. There we go. Wonderful. That's what I'm going to tell them to do. And it looks like that house did actually burn down. The peasants were supposed to start doing that automatically. In fact, I don't even know if I was capable of preventing that from happening myself, so that's a shame. But once we get to the part of the tutorial that lets us build another cottage, we will do that, just that. Alright, so these guys are going to go over here. They are going to automatically start engaging. Besides moving someone out of combat, I mean, I can tell them to attack specific targets, but there's not much more that I can do beyond that. I'm going to go ahead and loot some more of this. Okay, loot all, and loot all. So a couple more things I want to talk to you about. Number one, you'll notice that there are abilities down here. Now at the moment, it doesn't look like that's something that I can actually do. I mean, there's some names, and there's names for it, and I can literally click on it, but it doesn't appear to actually do anything in combat. So I'm assuming that in the future, this is something that will get implemented, but we do have the groundwork laid for spells and abilities here for our offensive units. There's also a level up system and an equipping system. You can see strength, agility, mind, vitality. There's action points, there's a level, health, and power. There's also this inventory system where you can equip gear to these people, which actually that's something I can do now. If I hit I, this will pull up my inventory of anything that I've looted off of characters so far. So you can see I've looted, for example, I've got this helmet here that I could put on, just like that. I've also got this sword here, but the sword I believe is specific just to the knight. So I don't think that I can put this on these militiamen, and we'll see the knight coming up. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. However, I could put this this weapon right here on one of my guys. Oh, no, I can't. That's for the knight as well. Shucks. What about this? That's for the knight. The dagger I can do. Okay, so we're going to put the dagger on this guy. But it looks like these 3 other weapons are just usable by the knight. We also have this little watch here, which I guess we can... that's a ring, actually. What does it do? +2 vitality. So we got a ring there that we can put on our guy as well. Awesome. Okay, so these are our troops, and we also need to build more cottages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the troops right up here. We're going to continue to explore with them. And then while they're doing that, we're going to run back to town, and we will build a couple cottages. So we had my one burned down, so I will build a cottage there. And then I'm also going to build a few cottages by the water over here. Build a couple of those. So more cottages will, in turn, get more peasants to come from the ships. That's how we're going to get more villagers into town, and that's how we can create more workers or militiamen if we have additional barracks and all sorts of stuff like that. All right, so we are just outside a Kobold encampment, so we're going to move forward to engage.
You're looking at me.
And these guys are just going to run forward. If any of them start to get dangerously low, I can individually peel them away. So I can click on this guy. Oops. Trying to click on this guy. It's a little bit clumsy. The controls aren't exactly perfect or amazing when it comes to these the combat in this game, but something that can be improved, and it's manageable, right? So it's not that bad. And we're gonna go ahead and loot all these guys. We do need a key to get into that chest, so hopefully we find a key. Getting a few rings here, some stone and some gold. Uh-oh, no key. I don't think we can open this chest. Yeah, we can't open that chest until we find a key, so that's a shame. Okay, so we're gonna move down.
Our little village is a bustling hive.
And the next thing it's asking us to do, there's a little story aspect coming down here once we get next to that mage. So before we do that, I'm gonna go back to town. It's asking me to build a cow pasture and a chicken coop. This is for just gathering more resources, and I want to do it as near to the windmill as possible, so we're going to build that stuff right over here. So we will go off of the windmill. You can see chicken coop now, and the cow pasture. Both of those are available for construction. So yeah, I mean, even you look at these NPCs, if you're wondering what all this stuff is, I can't really tell you because it was never explained in the tutorial. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'll go to an idle guy.
New building.
So we've got this little icon right here, which appears to put an icon over people's heads. I'm not sure if that's a change of stance. It looks like it could be a defensive stance, potentially. I'm not entirely sure, though. That's a Steam button. Don't know what that does. I don't know what these buttons do. It's a camera. It's a plus and minus, but I don't entirely know what that does. And then there's this camera that's going to put it into the over-the-shoulder perspective on whatever you're clicking on, just like that. And then this right here, this is the character panel where you can look at information about their level and all of their details and stuff like that. Okay, the next thing it asked me to do here is to build a monastery, which we're going to be doing this right up here. And the monastery is used for training monks, beds to sleep in for a small donation, also a place of worship for the Holy Toast. So there's the monastery, allows you to heal up your troops and things like that. Okay, so speaking of our troops, we're going to go back to them by double-clicking one, and we're going to be moving on to the next aspect of the story. I'm going to show you a little bit more, show you some more combat, show you some of the more areas, some of the additional areas, and then we'll be cutting this video. I don't want to show you all the tutorial, but I'm pretty much showing you most of it, at least a good portion of it. Okay. So we'll be coming up to a cutscene here as we meet the interesting flamboyant wizard. These are our townspeople.
No, Hobbles! My beautiful Hobbles! They've stolen you away from me!
You all right, mate?
No, I am not all right. Those filthy goblins have stolen my Hobbles away from me. Oh, I can't stand the thought of their filthy, rough hands all over him. I feel faint. Oh.
Who are you? And what you doing out here in the middle of nowhere anyway?
I am Camphor Mageflower, and Lord Blackdark banished Hobbles and I for living an, alternative lifestyle.
What, for being,
No, silly. Hobbles is my familiar.
Oh, right, that's like a pet, is it?
More than a pet. We have a magical bond. Our minds and souls are intertwined in a beautiful, penetrating partnership. Lord Blackdark banned all wizards from having familiars. He thought it was creepy.
Sounds a bit overly familiar to me.
Well, yes. We were banished to this hellhole, and now my beautiful Hobbles has been taken from me. I must get him back, no matter what the cost. I can't do this on my own. I need some big, strong lads to help me.
Oh, well.
I heard the goblins talking about some settlers they'd kidnapped from a nearby village. They must be on the other side of this wall. Now, the first problem is how we break through these gates. I think this may be a bit much for even your rippling physique. So how do we get through? Let me think. Aha! Hobbles and I were looking for somewhere warm to snuggle up the other night, and we happened on an old golem. We could use that to bash through the gates. If I remember correctly, it was a McDongle Mark IV, so you'll need to insert a McDongle's gem of rebooting to reset its commands before it will obey you. Now, I've seen a gem of rebooting. Where was that? Ah, yes, the deserted monastery up on White Peak. Watch out for the monks, who found enlightenment by becoming werewolves and now practice were-fu. It's like Kung Fu, but hairier. Fetch the gem of rebooting, activate the golem, then bring it back here. Then we can use it to break down the doors and rescue Hobbles and the villagers. Hurrah!
Right you are, sir.
So, as you can see, this game has a bit of a sense of humor as opposed to sort of a serious fantasy setting. Kind of like to joke around and have a little fun with it as well. We need to go back to the monastery real quick because I do need to build a monk. But we're just gonna take a look at a little bit more combat. Oh, the monastery is taking forever to build. Okay, that's the problem. Well, that's fine. We'll just keep going back to our guys over here. So yeah, this game does have a bit of a sense of humor. It doesn't take itself super seriously, and I like that. You know, it's nice to have a little bit of a lighthearted fantasy setting. You know, I'm really excited about the potential of this game. I think the controls still need a bit of work in terms of managing troops in combat, and even managing like villagers, for example. It's a little bit clumsy. For like when I want to build a specialized villager, for example, a militiaman, I need to go around and like click on every villager to see if there's just a regular male peasant somewhere. And it's annoying to me also that I can't just use the female peasants to make militiamen. I wish that was allowed. I'm not, you know, it just seems like a silly distinction to have to make. You know, just let all of my peasants become fighters. That'd be awesome. And yeah, but I really like the concepts behind this game. I really like, you know, the charm of the artwork, and even the simple fact that I can go into first-person view in these towns. I think that's really neat. Or I could, you know, do the same thing over here. I could go into first-person view in combat and tell these guys to go over here. But I'm excited, like, for the RPG elements to come more into effect and being able to use spells for these different troops, and there'll be different troop types besides just the militiamen. And we're gonna actually head over here, and then there we go. Now the cutscene.
The monastery of the monks of the Mangy Wolf. Once a religious sect of great devotion and piety, they practiced in solitude and silence in their quest to achieve enlightenment. Evil monk Wolf Chow became head of the order and ruled the monastery with a leash of iron. He even banned the monks from making their renowned homemade organic toast. The monks rebelled, led by Rufus Pooh, but couldn't stop the ritual of the Bloody Fang because Wolf Chow used the unearthly and ancient squeaky toy weapon to distract Rufus and his followers. Wolf Chow found the twisted path of the Mangy Wolf by becoming a werewolf and learning the dark secret of were-fu. That night was known as the Night of the Pointy Teeth, and Wolf Chow turned all the monks into his werewolf disciples. Now they practice the fearsome were-fu and follow the dark path. Approach carefully, as they no longer need a full moon to become their doggy selves, and they have very pointy teeth.
Okay, so once again, I don't want to show you the entire tutorial, so I think we're probably just going to cut it here. From this point forward, there's basically just some more combat. We go through some of the story elements. What I can show you, though, is we can get a camera flyby of the additional areas. So we've got our main town, which is through the windy path right over here, and then out to that way we have this was where we obviously interacted with the mage, and now we're going to go through this area to deal with all these werewolves and get the gem of rebooting. And there's a bunch of different other areas in the tutorial. We've got this small little desert area, we've got this lava pit, and this is actually where the iron golem with the gem of rebooting is. And then beyond the gate over here, this is the goblin town. Sort of a jungly feel to it, and that is where we're gonna have to go to complete the tutorial and finish up the story. There's probably about another hour worth of gameplay left in the tutorial from here, so if it's something you want to continue to play out yourself, you can do so. The game is available through the Steam Early Access program for 20 bucks. I have to warn you though, it's just the tutorial. They're adding a sandbox mode, which will be a lot more interesting, a lot more replayability. I basically got an hour and a half out of the tutorial, and then that's it. There's nothing to do. There's no monster respawns. There's literally nothing else I can do after the tutorial. I have just played through it again, partially, to make you guys this video, but that's it. However, some of the planned stuff that's coming up to this game, they plan to focus more on town management and defense. There'll be, for example, town invasions you'll have to defend against. There's going to be a rich world to explore, and even dungeons to explore as well. So that's something. Oh, I need to get this guy out of here. Oh no. Oh, okay, good, he lived. We killed the guys just in time. So there's going to be a big world to explore. It's supposed to be sort of, at least partially randomized, I believe. A map editor is going to be available, so you can sort of craft your own world. There's also going to be crafting in the game to make items, for example. And a sandbox world with random events is one of the big features that they're touting with this title. So it's pretty interesting. I like what I see so far. If they can make some of the necessary improvements and just get some more features in this game and fully flesh out the RPG system and everything like that, I think that this could be a really amazing title. I definitely think it has the potential of that. So there you go, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, this has been Force checking out Folk Tale, the sandbox fantasy city building strategy game, which is currently in the alpha testing, available for early access via Steam Early Access program. You can get in right now for $19.99. I would probably suggest waiting, though, at least until sandbox mode gets added. But if you really want to support the developers and help them speed along that process, then you can, of course, go ahead and invest early as well. Thanks so much for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. And as always, keep watching and keep owning. Let's train a monk and get ourselves a little beehive, bee yard. Build a bee yard. Thank you. Get to work, swines.
New building options are available.